guys, welcome back. My name's Sophie and I run the small business Sophie in Somerset. It's an Etsy business where I turn my traditional art into stationery products such as prints, bookmarks and stickers. You will have seen from the title though that this is a bit of a different video because my husband and I gifted each other an iPad and iPencil for Christmas, and I'm going to take this opportunity to download Procreate and try and teach myself to draw digitally. And I'm going to take you on the journey. So it's something that I've been really interested in. On my shop, as well as selling prints, bookmarks and stickers, I also sell colouring sheets and worksheets for churches and youth groups and Sunday schools. And that's really difficult to create traditionally. So I draw my line art with a pen and I have to scan it in, then really whack up the exposure to try and get rid of like the paper textures and things, to basically try and recreate what a digital drawing sheet would look like. So that's my main motivation. But I was thinking, I've never tried digital art. Would I prefer it to traditional art? I don't know. So I'm going to take you on a journey and we're going to discover it together. So if you're new to digital drawing, this might be of interest to you. Or if you're a digital artist, please don't be too harsh on me. I'm learning as I go. So I'm going to be tagging down below all the tutorials that I'm going to be watching because I am at my computer desk as I say this, and I'm going to be watching YouTube tutorials to get me started at least, because like I said, I know nothing. I don't even know. I want to be able to screen record because I've seen other artists on Studio Vlog screen record their Procreate images. So I want to find out how to do that. I have no idea about brushes, about pencils, how you draw it. I don't know how to use the pressure because I know if you press harder and softer on the iPad pencil, it does different things. And I see people tapping away on the screen. I don't know what any of it means. So I haven't even downloaded Procreate yet. It is currently the 9th of January. So I want to give timestamps so I show how long it took me to get to hopefully a decent level where I'm at least moderately happy with what I produce. I'm sure I'm going to be far from the levels of some of you, but at least I can hopefully reproduce something that I'm happy with. So yeah, so my goals are to hopefully learn the basics, to create a piece of art that I'm happy with, to see the progression from start to finish, to see some growth at least. I would love to create a repeating pattern at some point because I think that'd be really, really cool, because I would love to bring that to like notebooks and things like that. So my idea is long term as well, that I could still create my art traditionally and then scan it into the computer and then maybe like refine it and then turn that traditional art into a repeated pattern. So I'm hoping the two will work together eventually, but you never know. I may give up the traditional art and become a digital artist. Highly doubt that, but you never know. So I'm going to take you on the journey. As you can tell, I've got a cold, so I'm not going to waffle on for too much longer. But all of the videos that I'm going to watch are going to be tagged down below. Like I said, I'm going to share with you the brushes that I'm using. I'm not investing any more than just downloading the Procreate. So all the brushes and pens that I'm going to be using are going to be the ones that come free with the program. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to be sharing that with you. I'm going to be sharing the tutorials and whether or not they helped or not. So if you're new as well, I can find out for you if they're any good, and then you could go down and check them out. And yeah, I will share with you my thoughts on how digital versus traditional and the comparisons between the two. I think it'll be quite an interesting one. So I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I'll check in with you once I've maybe watched a few tutorials and we've had a go. I am actually really, really nervous about this because, like I said, this is totally out of my comfort zone. I haven't even really picked up the iPad pencil. I've like got it out of the box. I'm like, wow, this is quite weighty. It surprises me. A little bit scared of it. I'm a real technophobe as well, by the way. I have no idea with technology. I get my husband to do all of that. So it will be interesting, but let's get going. Okay, guys, so I've done my initial illustrations. I have to say, I am a little bit addicted to Procreate now. I am spending, so for the last kind of like 3 evenings, 3 or 4 evenings, I've been on the iPad watching tutorials and having a go, which I've shared with you. And who knew that Procreate records your doodles as you go? So if you're new to Procreate or never used it like I haven't, you don't need to do any screen recordings. They record, like, they were time lapse of your entire process automatically, which you can play back, which is what I've just been showing you. So you don't need to do anything, which is really, really handy, especially for creating videos like this. So I'm going to tag the video tutorials that I used for those drawings in the description if you want to go and have a check and have a look. I think my favourite one was Art with Flow. So my very first drawing, the mountain silhouette with the moon, and the stars. I can't believe that was my very first illustration. I was actually really happy with it. She explains stuff really, really well. And so I used her for the silhouette, the little koala buddy that I did, and the kind of wall art inspired, almost like, it looks like a Greek building, but in pink, with the arches. And then I used a different tutorial for the fox. And yeah, I think you could tell that in the style. So obviously I was copying their style because I was trying to follow their tutorial. And with the fox, they encourage you to use more watercolor. You're basically trying to recreate the effect you would get with a traditional medium, which is quite interesting as a traditional artist to see how that works. And I have to say that I still love traditional art, and I don't think this is ever going to replace it, because it's not that it's easier. It's not easier because I'm having to learn all of these new techniques, and I'm by far not that great at the moment. Still a lot to learn, but it is easier to get a more professional finish. Like that first drawing that I did, like somebody could, like, I wouldn't, but you could sell that already as a print or a stick or whatever. Whereas it's hard to get like something you're really happy with traditional art. And of course, if you make a mistake with traditional art, you have to kind of start again. Or with digital art, if you draw something in the wrong place, you can select it and move it. You can't do that with traditional art. So I'm thinking at the end of this, I want to try and get to a point where I can merge the two. So I do the piece traditionally and then maybe refine it on my iPad. I don't think I'm ever just going to do straightforward digital illustrations. I might, I don't know. But I am glad, alongside doing these tutorials, I've been doing 30-day sketchbook challenge in my sketchbook, and I'm glad that I've still been doing traditional art alongside the digital, because I think you could quickly lose your hand in traditional art if you focus too much on digital, because it's just easier to do digital. You don't have to get out all the supplies. You don't get messy. I just did it on the sofa a lot of the time. So it is easier to pick up the iPad rather than getting all your traditional mediums out. And I don't want to get lazy with that. Not that the digital art is lazy. I'm not throwing any shade on digital artists. I'm really not. It's just a personal thing. So yeah, so I want to get to a point where I merge the two. So the next thing I want to try on my digital art is move away from tutorials slightly. Maybe do a few more tutorials. Maybe, I'm not sure, to use it. Like, I want to learn a few more techniques, but I want to try doing my own illustrations. So I'm thinking, to begin with, because I'm still quite wobbly with my line art on the screen, like getting used to how the eye pencil reacts. I'm thinking I might like get an image and trace over it for the line art, and then experiment with different textures and bringing that to life, because I had wanted to do a lion and lamb range for kind of like well, initially for spring. I don't know if it's going to come out in spring now, but initially I wanted to do a lion and lamb range. So I might experiment with that next. Again, like I said, I might mix a couple of tutorials in with that. And then I want to try doing what I've just said, kind of doing a piece of traditional art, taking a photo of it, and then refining it and going over it on my iPad, and also mixing in like text as well. I want to mix text into it because I'd love to create prints or stickers more easily. So yeah, so I'm really enjoying the process of learning, but my heart is still with traditional art. But I'm excited where mixing in digital art can take my products. I'm hoping it will elevate them, and create a really high standard of products that I can then pass on to you. So I'm really, really excited, and I will continue to take you on the journey. And like I said, dead easy, seeing as you can screen record on Procreate without doing anything. So I will continue to show you all of my progress, and I will check back in with you once I've tried a few more different things. Okay, so digital drawing check-in is now the 23rd of January. And so I'm really happy with the progress I've made. So I started off and I did the lion and the lamb, which is something I've been wanting to draw for a while. I did do the tracing for that one. So it's my first go at tracing, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great way of getting the outline and then working my own texture. And then I did go on to then follow a tutorial, which I'll tag down below. All the videos that I've been using to help me with my journey, I'm going to tag down below so you can use it as well to do the outline. Can you see that? There we are. Do the outline, which you would use for a sticker. So that was another thing that I learned to do. I'm really happy with how I got the textures on that. And then I have moved on to starting to draw the prompts for the 28 Days of Sunshine, which is a month-long challenge by Days Designs. And I'm giving myself a challenge. I'm going to do all the prompts digitally. And I'm really excited to see how, so I'm going to do them in chronological order. I'm literally going to go from the prompt starting at number 1 and work my way down. I'm really excited to see my journey, because obviously I've been recording, like, you know, I can see all of my pictures that I've done on here. But the first ones were like tutorials that I was following. So like with the koalas and with the fox and the mountains and things, those was tutorials. But now I'm doing my own drawings. And so I'm excited to see the progress I'm going to make. So I've done the first 1, 2, 3 prompts so far, and I'm working on a couple of others at the moment. So the first prompt of the challenge is home, and I did another trace one for that. And I did the house. I would have probably already shared with you the footage of this, of me doing this. So I traced an image of our actual house, and I'm really pleased with how I did like the trees and stuff with the leaf brush. I think that's really handy. Yeah, I just love the fact that you can trace so easily. It does feel a little bit like cheating, which is why when I did the robin, that was my first drawing completely without any reference image, like without following a tutorial and without tracing an image. So this is my very first, I would say it's my very first official digital drawing, because I feel like the other ones are a little bit cheating, following a tutorial and literally doing it. Although I'm doing it myself, it does feel a little bit like cheating, and the tracing definitely feels like cheating. So this like feels like proper drawing. I was really super happy with it when I first did it. Now looking at it, I'm not that happy with it. It looks amateurish, but it is my first go. I have to keep telling myself I'm still learning. I'm really pleased with how I got the texture, like on the feathers. Like I was really pleased with how I got that, and obviously on the bark, but that's obviously the brush that I was using. But I didn't do any shading, and that's what I've come to realize that you really need to focus on in digital art is the light and shade and the layering, which I try to then do more with the mug that I've just done. And I'm actually really happy with this. Obviously, very different vibe. So I'm trying to find my style with digital art. Do I prefer the more realistic watercolor brush like I did with the robin, or do I prefer more like this? Like not trying to recreate traditional art and just going full in for the digital effect, which is obviously what I've done with this. And as you can see, I've done more of the shading like at the bottom and on the handle and things. And I'm actually really pleased with how this turned out. Again, totally from my brain, not using any images. I'm actually really pleased with how this has turned out. So my plan is to just continue on trying to develop my styles, trying to experiment with different brushes, but try and do more layering, more light and shade, thinking where the light's coming from, showing that in the image, and trying out different brushes and styles to try and find my own digital style. So I'm really excited to do the next prompts. I'm not going to obviously show you every single one of the 28 images because I think you'll probably get a bit bored, but maybe I'll just drop in the progress that I'm making, and then hopefully we'll then be able to look back at all the prompts and see my progress from this first little robin guy to whatever the last prompt is. Yeah, I'm really, really excited, but still a lot to learn, and I will take you on a journey. I really also want to try doing some writing on some of them. I'm trying to create without the prospect of turning these images into any products. Obviously, I'm just going to immerse myself in this challenge and learn to digital draw. But if you run a small business, I'm sure you understand it's really hard to separate the two. It's really hard to separate creating art and not in the back of your mind, oh, this would make a really good sticker, or this would look really good on a notebook. I could make a project range out of this. It's really hard to separate that part of your brain. So I'm trying not to do that. But equally, it would be quite cool if some of these things appeared. I also want to, maybe for one of the challenges, I don't know, I need to go back and look at the prompt list, maybe to see if I can make some repeat patterns, because that was another goal, to make some repeat patterns, to learn how to do that. Anyway, I'll probably check in with you. I don't know if I'll check in midway or whether I'll just check in with you once I've done all the prompts, and then we can see what progress. Hopefully there'll be a marked difference. So yeah, 23rd of January now. Let's see where we are once we've done a lot of the other prompts.
Okay, so it's now the 22nd of February, and I have finished all of the 28 Days of Sunshine prompts. I just wanted to check back in with you. I also did a repeating pattern. That would have been probably the last clip you just saw. I just wanted to give it a go. I used one, two, three, four, five of the images from some of the prompts on 28 Days of Sunshine, and I'm really happy with how the images look. So I went for like cozy vibes, repeating pattern. And you would have seen I was a bit undecided about what to put on the background, and it is the background that's kind of messed it up slightly. So this it's on Procreate. Is it in abstract or textures? It's in textures and it's called Victorian. It looks like a damask wallpaper. But that hasn't really mirrored up on the repeating pattern. However, the actual images themselves has, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. So repeating patterns is definitely something I'm going to be using the tablet for in future. As a whole, I really enjoyed this process. I think the challenge of doing 28 illustrations, it was a big challenge. By the end, I did get a bit tired. I was flagging a little bit, and it became a little bit like a chore. But I think doing drawing so much, because I was having to do it every single day to keep up with it, really pushed me to get better more quickly at digital art. I think that the fastest way to get better at a new medium is to just practice. Well, same as anything really, isn't it? And I can really see the growth. So like, for example, I think the biggest difference is in the fox. And interestingly, these were both tutorials that I followed. I don't think the first tutorial was Art with Flow. I've tagged all the tutorials that I've watched down below. So full transparency, some of the prompts I did use tutorials just to learn different techniques, and other ones I just did off my own back. But both these foxes were different tutorials. The first fox is the one I've already shown you, which was before the challenge began. So this was just me, one of my very first drawings that I did. And I was really happy with how it turned out. I used like a watercolor brush. Both of these foxes are done using like painterly brushes to try and mimic traditional art, whereas a lot of my other prompts, they're obviously digital art. They're not trying to pretend to be anything else, which is interesting in itself. But this first fox, I was really pleased with it once I'd done it. And then I did this other fox. So that was before the challenge even started. And this other fox was prompt 20. So quite far away into the challenge. I'd done lots of other prompts beforehand. I did draw the prompts in order so that I could really get a good chronological idea of how my art progressed. And then you would have seen this was my other fox that I did. And I just think comparing the two together, they're so different, and I can really see the growth. The other difference that I've seen was in prompt 2, the robin, which I've already shown you, I think. Just accidentally drawn onto the screen. There was my little robin, and I was pleased at the time, but afterwards I said I wasn't that pleased, because although I experimented with textures on the branch and the feathers, I didn't do any light or shading. So that robin was completely from my own imagination. And then likewise on day 19, again, over halfway through the challenge, I did a magpie. I think the prompt was trinket. So I did magpie, because obviously we know magpie like shiny things. So I did magpie with a necklace. Excuse me. So if my voice drops out, it's because I'm just recovering from a chest infection. So sometimes I run out of air. But anyway, this magpie, again, I used a reference image to copy from, but not to trace. So again, it was all done freehand, not using any form of tutorial. And I just think the difference compared to that other robin guy, first of all, I've got more shading. I've used more textures, again, on the branches and the nest. But just in the magpie itself, I managed to get, it's quite hard to get the feathers, because magpies, they're black, but they're also blues and greens. And I'm just really happy with how this guy turned out. Also, the necklace is using one of my favourite brushes. So just to give you an idea of some of the brushes that I use, For outlines, I tend to use in calligraphy, it's monoline brush. I really like doing the outlines with the monoline. If I'm sketching beforehand, I'll go into sketching and I will use the 6B pencil. All of these brushes, I haven't purchased any brushes, so all of these are the ones that come in the Procreate app. So I haven't purchased anything extra. So I use the 6B pencil to do like an underline sketch, and then over the top I will use calligraphy and monoline. For the shading, I use in airbrushing, I use the soft brush. In some of the other tutorials, they use different brushes. In the Fox I just showed you, I think we used the either the old brush or the dry brush, but actually my preferred shading is using the soft brush and airbrushing. But my favourite discovery, which I've used in a number of drawings, so I used it in those pearls on the necklace. If you go to Luminance, it is the light pen. Now there's quite a few different light options here. So I've used the light pen, and also in my fireplace scene, where was that one? That was day 16. I also used the brush Nebula. So I used Nebula in the fireplace to get the fire, and then I used the light brush to get the fairy lights and also the moon in the window. And that's amazing because you can use, if you go up the top left and go to adjustments, you can use, I think it's called Gaussian blur. Is that how you pronounce it? This Gaussian blur. So you can use that to kind of get a moon effect. I think I used that in my very first drawing, that Sunset Mountain one, which was a tutorial. I used the Gaussian blur there. But actually, I find you don't actually need to use that a lot of the time if you want to get light. Just use the light pen. I've also used it on one of the last prompts, day 26. I did a Bible verse from John 8, for Jesus being the light of the world. And I used that light pen again on the fairy lights. That was the prompt, fairy lights, and also in the middle of this light bulb. Speaking of Bible prompts or verses, I didn't want to go too Bible heavy. I was trying to kind of expand the prompts as much as I can, drawing a range of different things to expand my kind of knowledge of Procreate, my skill. But I did do a few Bible verses throughout. This being one of them. This was a psalm that I did, again with a lantern. And I'm wondering whether or not I could make that into a sticker sheet. So I'm thinking I might use some of these images as a sticker sheet. And this one as well. So I did this cafe as, again, a tutorial from Art with Flo. Honestly, she's the best person that I found on YouTube to explain how to use Procreate in a way that I didn't have to. I paused the video a couple of times when I was trying to find something, but generally she went at a pace that you could easily follow, and she explained it really well. So I would highly recommend it. So you'll see down below a lot of the tutorials that I followed was Art with Flo. But anyway, this coffee scene that I did, I don't know if you can see it. So it's called Quiet Time Cafe. And on the little sandwich board there, it's coffee with Jesus. And I wrote a little bit of a backstory on Instagram in the description when I posted it, saying that this was the place where you come to get free of distractions when you're wanting quiet time with Jesus. And because as a new mum, a mum of a toddler, I really struggle to find time for quiet time now. I used to do it first thing in the morning. I used to stay in our bedroom. My husband used to go off in the office, and we used to have our quiet time separately. And that's just not possible in the morning because little man's already awake. At the end of the day, I'm really tired, and it's really, really difficult in certain seasons of our lives to find time for Jesus and quiet time. So that was my little idea with the cafe. This is not meant to turn into a sermon. But that was my thought process behind doing maybe a Bible verse sticker sheet, because I want to expand my Bible journaling range anyway, or specifically a quiet time little sticker sheet that you could decorate a notebook, And because I don't, and this is so superficial and materialistic, but new stationery always inspires me to either start journaling again or writing, or whether it's prayer journaling, or like, so if you had new stationery, like decorate your quiet time notebook with some new stickers, that could be the thing that inspires you to get going into your quiet time. And that sounds so materialistic, like I said, and shallow, and not the motivation it should be. But it's the reality, guys. It's the reality. If I get a new set of highlighters, I'm going to want to use them in my Bible, and I'll do a Bible study. And I don't, to a certain extent, I don't think it matters how you get there, as long as you get there. And get to spend time with Jesus. I think he will forgive us of that, and I repent of that. But so those are ideas of how I can use it. And like I said, with that repeating pattern, using the kind of cozy vibes, maybe that might come to the shop. I'd certainly want to use my fox in like a full-time idea. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. And the next video you will see is a studio vlog where I want to start getting ready for the spring update. I really need to crack on with that, really. And it's going to be a purely digital download shop update. And I want to focus on building up my catalogue of worksheets and Bible resources for youth groups and churches. And having now a knowledge of Procreate is going to help me so much with doing colouring sheets and things. Because before, I would draw the illustrations by hand and then scan in just the line art and then try and perfect it, sometimes on my phone, and try and whack up the brightness and saturation and things, and try and make it, almost try and replicate what it would look like if I had done it digitally. So it's going to make it so much easier. So I think what I'm going to do is, with some of these, I might even trace over them and just take it back to line art and produce them as colouring sheets. I think that's what some of the ideas going to be. So it's going to be so much easier now with this tablet. Has it replaced traditional art for me? Absolutely not. It's quite interesting, like using, for example, that last landscape that I did for the postcard. It was quite interesting what effect you can get using the paintbrushes on here that's meant to mimic watercolor, gouache, oil. I think that's fun, but I think going forward, I will use this tablet more for, certainly for worksheets, for colouring sheets, for my resources, and also for fun illustrations. I think is fun illustrations are fine. Certainly makes creating stickers easier because you can do the outline. But I'm not going to pretend that it's not digital art. Like, this is a piece that I've done digitally, and you can tell the difference between that and a traditional art. I love getting messy with traditional art. I love the unpredictable nature of traditional art. Although it was lovely to be able to draw a line and have it perfectly straight or move it slightly to the right on my tablet, it doesn't recreate the spontaneity. And although it is a skill, digital drawing, it is a skill, and learning the different techniques. And I certainly have a lot more to learn. I'm not saying I'm a master by far. It is harder to recreate that traditional medium. I think, dare I say, it takes more skill to do traditional art. And we live in the age of AI. AI cannot reproduce your brushstrokes. Digital art is really easy to reproduce in AI. And how do you know if somebody with a digital art, if somebody has done that on Procreate, or is it an AI image? Whereas with traditional art, I think it's harder for AI to reproduce. Anyway, that's going down a totally different rabbit hole. The main thing is I'm really happy with how I progressed. I think doing the daily art challenge was a good way of progressing quickly. And it's something I would highly recommend if you are learning Procreate. Do a daily art challenge, because it forces you to draw, and practice makes perfect, as they say. So thank you for joining me. And I think it was just really interesting to document it because I was interested to see how my art would change. But I think from the very first drawings, like I said, from that early fox and then to what I've been producing the last couple of days, I think the growth is massive. If you want to see all the prompts, please go and check out my Instagram. I posted every single of the 28 days of sunshine prompts on there. Expect to see probably some of those images coming to the shop either in worksheets or maybe later on in the year as stickers. If you want to see any of that art as any type of product, let me know. Also, right at the end, with digital downloads in mind, I want to say a great big thank you to Vivian, who is my first Australian order. She ordered from Adelaide, I believe, and she ordered a harvest colouring sheet. And I was like, why is somebody ordering harvest colouring sheet when we're coming into spring? But of course, they're in the southern hemisphere, so they're going into autumn when we're heading into spring. So thank you so much, Vivian. Great that my art's travelled all its way to Australia. And this is why I want to focus on digital download for the next shop update. Obviously, the other reason is the fact that I've invested heavily into getting my physical products into a shop, and that's cost me a lot of money. So I don't have the money to create even more physical products to go onto Etsy. But we're still going to make this digital download shop update really cool. We're not just going to be doing church resources. There will be some other stationery in there as well. So if you're not a Christian, there will be stuff for you. And I had some lovely feedback from a viewer saying that they wanted a couple of the physical bookmarks that I offer in a digital format. So just for you, I'm going to be trying to make those into a digital format as well. The tablet will no doubt make a heavy influence in what I create in that next studio vlog. So if you don't want to miss that, please hit the notification bell. But thank you for joining me on this journey. Before my voice gives out, I'm going to go. So whatever you're doing, have a lovely weekend or week, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next one. God bless. Love you. Bye.